My name is Florica Cherecheş. My life was, and it is still, full of ups and downs because God allowed many trials in my life, but He was always with me and helped me go further. I was the founding member and executive director of a microfinance institution, an NGO that helped especially women at risk and family businesses. I entered politics about 13 years ago. I was in a city council for 4 years, and also a short time I was a deputy mayor. Then I was a member of parliament for 8 years, 2 mandates. And since March this year, I am the president of the National Authority for the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, Children and Adoptions. When I first was offered this position, it was the biggest challenge of my life because I didn't feel at all prepared for that job. I realized that this is a way to encourage other women who maybe don't trust themselves enough, that they are capable of doing great things if they will have faith in God, trust themselves, and work hard. I realized that that is a serving position for me. I was serving those women and I was serving my community. The national authority that I am leading now has to do with the most vulnerable people in a country. It has to do with children, abandoned children, with foster care system, with adoptions, but also with people with disabilities. There are hundreds of social centers for children and people with disabilities that we coordinate. For me, it's very important not only to feel that I am in the right place where God wants me to be, but also to really be light and salt. Faith for me, it's very important in this position and in the political, because now as a president of this national authority, I also have political support to be here. The work is so hard and issues are so sensitive that I feel that I cannot count only on me or on my experience or knowledge or information that I have access to. I really have to be connected to the source of power and wisdom. I speak with women and I encourage them, and I realize that I have a powerful testimony because many women can identify with my problems. I was unemployed twice in my life, so I know how you feel when nobody trusts you and see any value in you. I know how it is to have more children and be not able to meet all their needs. I can direct them to God, who will always be there to listen and to help and encourage. It is very important for women first to trust themselves more and to not disconsider them and their possibilities and capabilities, because I realize that we as women tend to undermine ourselves, tend to not see the value that we have for the society and the power of influence we have, first on our own families. They will see this as a model, as a way of living life. And in this way, you will help creating a generation of people who will be involved, and they will not just sit and look what happens, but they will create the future.
My name is Kari Fure. I am an editor and a journalist in the Norwegian daily Christian newspaper Dagen. So this topic with religious freedom and persecuted Christians, that's my responsibility in the newspaper. It all started in 2007 when I went to Syria to meet Christian Iraqi refugees. As a journalist, you might from time to time experience things that make a deeper impact on you. And for me, this trip to Damascus in 2007 was one of these. I met a widow with 4 children. She was from Baghdad. If she didn't convert to Islam, she would be killed. So she took her children and left for Syria, which was a peaceful place at that time. When I met her, she lived in very poor conditions. It hit me so hard that life is very unjust, because I'm also a mother of 4, but I have a red passport from Norway, and I can go back to my husband and live, be safe and sound. And she was stuck in these miserable conditions. It was really a turning point for me, to both regarding persecuted Christians and also about how vulnerable women are in war. Women are vulnerable in different ways. I went to Iraq and experienced that some of the old people were left behind. Actually, one of these was an old lady. She went to the church in the morning, like she always did, to pray, and the city was empty. And she did not understand what had happened. Where were all the people? There were nobody. The priest was gone. Everybody was gone. Can you imagine the feeling? She went out on the stairs outside the church, looked down the street. Where are the people? Nobody. And she was one of those who were left behind. During the night, all the villagers had fled. The women, they are victims, but they are also heroes and fighters. And many of the women I met, they had found strength in their self that they perhaps didn't know that they had, just because they had to. I met a group of Dominican nuns. They fled first from Mosul, and then they fled from Cherecheş to Erbil. And they were refugees like all the other people. But being a refugee and a victim was not their identity. They just pulled up their sleeves and started to work to make life better for the other refugees. Even they themselves had also lost all their belongings and their house in Cherecheş. They are so brave. I really admire these women. So there are many examples, and one of the other examples, they are really tough women. That was in the valley of Kar. It's a tiny village at the border of Syria in Lebanon. This village was attacked by 8 suicide bombers in 2016. 4 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, when the villagers gathered in the church to prepare for the funerals next day. And for whole years, the mothers in Kar were awake at night to watch their village, to see if strange people that didn't know, came into the village during the night. My first book, it hit me that the sources I had used, most of them were men, and it hit me that I need to listen to the women's story. So it's not that you should focus on women only, but you should focus on women also, because they are half of the population. So the women are part of the solution. That's one reason why it's important to write about women. So we must tell both stories and look at the whole entire picture.
My name is Luciana. I'm originally from Brazil. I grew up in Portugal, and I've been in Greece for the past 5 years working with the Roma people. The Roma people are the largest ethnic minority in Europe, and we have an educational program for children, but we also work with the adults of the community. So we have an educational focused ministry, but also community focused. And it's all based on biblical principles. We had to build relationships, invest a lot in relationships, and show them that we are here because we love them and because God has given us that love first. Roma women, some of them they've been trafficked, some of them they go through domestic violence, and they lack a voice in their community. In Roma traditions, it's very patriarchal, and so seeing a woman in leadership has been difficult for the men to see me as a leader. Doing Roma ministry, this has been difficult, but because we also have a very diverse team, this diversity and how we work together has helped them to see that, okay, there is another perspective, and women can have a voice. Especially the children, now with the education, and for the women as well, and the men. Education as a whole has helped them to have a better quality of life. I see these small miracles throughout these 5 years. We see that the community has been transformed from the inside out. 5 years ago, I wouldn't believe that we would have 74 children going to school, or that we would have so many women with pregnancy or with other issues that they have, and that they would be so open to us and the relationship that has been built throughout these years. And some of the changes in the transformation, children now they have dreams and hope. I believe that when God has his plans for us, and when he talks to us, it's really important to listen to that voice, even though it seems that, I don't have the capacity to do this. It doesn't matter, because God will give you the capacity to do it. We see that in these 5 years, maybe we don't have, a church yet, but it's okay, because we are investing on these individual lives. We are helping them to have their encounter with God. We want them to realize that being with God is a life-changing experience, but that they will be able to understand that by themselves. Through our women's group, our hope is that these women are heard, because they have so much potential. God has given them so much potential, and unfortunately, because of the lifestyle and the situation that they are in, that potential gets hidden. And so we are trying to empower these women through education, but also just listen to them and what they have to tell us, and help them acknowledge that potential that we have, because they are not even aware of it. We can see it from this side, but they are not aware. And so by helping them with their self-esteem and their self-confidence, and giving them opportunities to thrive, so they can realize, and acknowledge that, oh wow, God has given me these talents, and I am able to be a change in my community. I am able through my children and how I relate to my husband. And so this is our hope and dream, that these women they will be heard, and that they will feel that their voice is out there.